Welcome everyone, my name is Becky and I like to read. Today is another Fave 5 video for you, and today I will be sharing with you my 5 favorite romances of the year. In this video, I will be focusing on non-fantasy romance. I have an entirely separate video for my 5 favorite fantasy romances because I read more of those than just other genre of romances. So these are going to consist of like sci-fi, historical, and contemporary-ish. But before I get on with that, let's put on a Santa hat. I am running out of Santa hats, so today's is the cowboy hat. I got this off of Amazon. I grew up a country girl, so I had to have it. These are in no particular order except for the last one, which is my favorite. First up, we have The Perfect Waters. This is what I would consider a paranormal romance. It does have some fantastical to it with mermaids, but because it is set in our world, I feel like it's more paranormal. About Asia, who grew up not knowing that she is the descendant of a mermaid. And not just any mermaid, but she is a mermaid princess. So she has been living on land as a human until something happens. So she has to go into the ocean to discover her heritage and learn how to become the ruler of the oceans. I thought this was an incredibly unique story with such a well-constructed world. There are different mermaid clans almost for the different oceans of the world. And I thought that was so cool. The romance in here is between Asia and a prince of a different ruling family. He's always been somewhat of a playboy until he comes into contact with Asia, and then he knows that she is his intended, but there's a problem. According to their laws, he is forbidden from touching her. So it is a bit of a forbidden romance. I have only read the first 2 books in this series, but I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I found it really unique, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for some mermaid romances. The next romance is a contemporary/historical, and that is Hidden in the Mists. This is a romance about a woman who lives on a coastal Scottish farm. She's very much into green living, and this man comes along and he needs some work. So he tells her he will help her around her farm if she just provides him with a place to lay his head and some free Wi-Fi. She doesn't know, though, that he was a convicted criminal who was falsely accused, so he is running from his past. When these two start having shared dreams, they think it is connected to the Viking jewelry that they have both found. And the historical romance mirrors theirs with this other couple from the Viking era who are also falling in love at the same time. They are somewhat of a forbidden romance, and their stories parallel each other really well. It was very slow burn on both ends of the spectrum. And I loved the dual timeline perspectives and how they mirrored each other. There is no time travel in this story. It is just 2 love stories paralleling each other. How many times can I say parallel? The next romance is another historical with just a slight dash of fantastical. I wouldn't say it's a completely fantastical romance because the fantasy parts really aren't there. I would say it's much more of a folklore romance. This is the story of a young widow who is trying to take care of her son. And one day this baby washes up on shore and she takes her in and she raises her. She doesn't know that this baby is a Selkie. Years later, this mysterious stranger shows up claiming to be the baby's father. But he asks her, "Can you take care of my daughter for me? I will provide you with money to do so, but I will only be able to visit every so often." So she agrees to this. And every year when the father returns, he gives her money to take care of his child, but they start to form a relationship, and the more time he spends with her, the less time he wants to return to the ocean. But he knows he has to because he is a full Selkie. I think I read this for a vlog for St. Patrick's Day where I was looking for Irish-inspired romances, and I read this one because it involved Selkies, and Selkies are part of the Celtic folklore. Loved the chemistry between the couple. I felt like they could communicate a little bit better, but overall, their chemistry was great. I loved the single-parent romance, and I loved the lore of Selkies. The next romance is 100% a contemporary and is Quiet and Kilted. This was one that I stumbled upon completely by accident. I was just looking for a romance that started with Q, and I found this one on Kindle Unlimited, so I thought I would give it a try. This is about a woman who lost her hearing. She moves to this Colorado town town trying to make a new start for herself. But in this town, there are very few people who speak sign language, so she isn't really able to communicate with a lot of people except through lip reading. And then one day, this man who wears a kilt, hence the title, he is doing some reconstruction in her library because she is a librarian. And he is able to communicate with her because his mother and his sister are deaf. This is also a single parent romance because his young daughter knows sign language as well, and when she comes into the library, she is always talking to this young woman. This is another slow burn romance, and it did have some drama, but not between the couple. It had to do with the ex of the main male character. So I thought that added just a little bit more to it. And I do plan on continuing this series because I believe the second book is about his deaf sister. So I really liked the disability rep within this story as well. And my favorite romance of the year is actually an entire series, and that is the Prime Mating Agency series by Regine Abel. I picked up this book for shits and giggles earlier this year to read with my friend Kim. We thought it would just be a ridiculous fun time. However, this series is freaking great. These are pretty short books, but they have plot to them and they have slow burn steam. If you're looking for monster smut, I wouldn't say this is the series for you because this series is a very slow burn on the smut. It's good smut, but it's slow burn. And along the way, you get a lot of character development and world building, which I personally love. All of these books in this series are also such sweet romances. The main male characters are such sweethearts. They're so protective of their love interest. And they're just so cute, and I love all of them. My favorite of this series is the second book, I Married a Naga. I actually did a series overview video, which I will have linked down below, that explains what each of these books are about and how I think you should read them if you want to check that out. But I love this series, and I cannot wait for Regine to write her next book in this series. So those were it. Those were my 5 favorite romances of the year. Let me know down below if you read romance, what was your favorite romance of the year. And until my next video, thank you guys so much for watching, and read a romance for me. Bye.